Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of YEW podcast series. Today we have Nafis with us. He is a first gen Bangladeshi-American with a passion for using technology and entrepreneurship to drive real world impact. And he's here to talk about Aether today. So, hi Nafis, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for asking.
I'm doing great too. So without any further ado, let's get started. My first question for you is, tell me about your background and the story behind starting Aether.
So my background, I think you have probably said a little bit of it. I am a first generation Bangladeshi immigrant who's currently a US citizen, and I feel like I could do more to contribute to my community because growing up in a third world country, I guess I've seen many struggles of people, especially when it comes to education. A lot of people are in poverty, which also brings me to my fintech idea. That's why my startup focuses on edtech and fintech solutions. Coming from someone who has a father doing economics and an economics major and an uncle who's doing computer science, I decided that I would take both inspirations, combine them into one, and focus on this journey of entrepreneurship.
Wow, that's really nice. Taking one thing from your dad, one thing from your uncle, bringing it together and making something nice. Awesome. My next question for you is, what problem does your product or service solve and for whom? And can you walk me through how it works?
Right. Thank you for asking. So Aether currently is focused more on the edtech side where we offer AI tools or that kind of thing towards users, either small businesses or just like high schoolers in general. So what I'm currently working on is called Autonova, which is going to be our first flagship model of the startup. What it basically does is it focuses on internships for high school students. It has both paid and free opportunities, so it can be accessible to everyone because I think the idea of education should be democratized. Everyone should have access to it because what I've noticed personally is that I've seen a lot of high school seniors who don't really have extracurriculars at all. I actually spoke to one last November, and it kind of shocked me because coming from someone who went to a really rigorous specialized high school, they seem to not have anything that met the expectations. Well, I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm saying that this could be a really good example of what I want to focus on. So what I want to do right now is sort of make free tools for now, and then maybe partner and go into merge and acquisition with bigger companies later on. So my edtech solutions, particularly Autonova, focuses on this. Also, it helps with other things such as college applications, roadmap, things like that. Because I feel like the idea of something that's built for high schoolers by a high schooler is going to be really appealing to everyone because I really know what everyone's trying to think and understand that.
Yeah, I think being a high schooler yourself, you understand the problems that others go through, which helps you create a better product yourself. So I really like how you are going with this. My next question is, if your startup had never been created, what do you think the world would be missing, and why is that important?
I think the world will be missing a lot of things. Well, right now we're in an early stage, so we can't really make a significant impact across, but we're actually gaining traction really, really fast. So, regarding what the world misses, as I said, we're focusing on education. A lot of things I notice nowadays is that there are websites that offer internships. An example of this is called Extern, which is like a platform where they like partner with big companies like Microsoft, Intel, and like they offered opportunities, but you have to subscribe to their platform. It's paid. And I don't think that giving something paid is necessarily a good thing if you're trying to help people with education, right? Education should be free for all, which is what we're focusing on. And a lot of people don't want to spend money. So you have people out there that are struggling financially, but at the same time, they want these opportunities. They can't get two of these at the same time, which is exactly what my problem solves. And I think that the fact that we're in an early stage and we're already focusing on these things, and the fact that we've already received offers from a bunch of people shows that the extent to which we can even expand this to a greater area, let's say maybe internationally, things like that, which shows that a lot of people do want this. They want free things. They want this to be accessible to a lot of people at the same time. They don't want to be ripped off of money, things like that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, as a high schooler, I wouldn't want to pay a company to get me an internship. So, like, I really get the idea of where you're going with it. Even though you are in like your initial stages, my question to you is, what is your unique value proposition and what sets you apart from the other competitors that are there?
Okay, so great that you asked this. A lot of people are leveraging on the AI boom that's been happening lately. Like they integrate AI into the platforms. I decided to take this as well, but what I do offer is not just like AI-based analysis or things like that. Because out there you'll see a lot of startups doing things like GPT wrappers or like their entire thing is just focused on AI. What I do is like I combine that with like actual historical data, statistics, and I've already partnered with a bunch of businesses and my own guidance counselor and resources from my school to offer real, let's say, real data, compare that with the user data, and then just use AI on top of that. So we're not just AI focused. We also use realistic data, things like that, statistics, rates of different students going into this institution, that institution to offer you the best roadmap that we're talking about for colleges. So what sets us apart? I would say the realism and the authenticity of like different things that we also incorporate besides AI, and the fact that we're expanding and we're only at this stage shows that we have a lot of potential to go through as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even though you are in the initial stage, as I would say it again, you still probably need a team to build what you're building. And looking at your vision, I really think that it's not a solo thing that can be done. So tell me
Mhm.
about your team. Who is in your team and what are some key roles that are missing and how do you plan to fill them?
Okay, so currently I'm the founder and CEO. I have two other people who are currently in college. They were behind the pitch decks, the back end, and I would say the front end design as well. And then besides them, I also have two back end developers who currently work on like, let's say the database and things like that for the opportunities. I think that the most important thing that we need right now to expand is probably a CMO, like someone who does marketing or like a sales executive, things like that, because we need to get this across, right? We know that this is really appealing to a lot of people. A lot of high schoolers want to do things. They want extracurriculars, they want more opportunities, but they don't know where to look. That's why we need someone who can really reach out, who's really good at communication. And the good thing is that we're already thinking of that. Like when we're launching, we're going to hopefully launch an application of like unpaid interns. And I know that a lot of people want to do this because one, it helps with their resume and things like that because they do initiative to help us. And two, that helps us too because these people can go out and let's say distribute this idea of our company.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for any startup or non-profit or any kind of organization, when you are in the initial stages, it is kind of difficult to scale it and get your message across. But once you're able to do it and overcome that barrier, I think it becomes really easy to get people to trust what you're building and to use what you're building. And I think personally, for something like your startup, the more the people use it, the more it will build trust with them. So I think as we learned in HUVTSP, the network effect think that would be really helpful for your startup. Moving on, what milestones have you achieved so far, and what are your key metrics?
I would say significant milestone is just developing the backend itself because what we're dealing with is again, since it's like opportunities, there's a lot of listings that we need to go through. We're talking in the thousands. We also have issues with, or had issues before with like APIs and things like that, because we're not just using our own database, we're also using databases from other opportunity websites. We're just combining them into one. That's a little hard to do as well because some of our backend people are well there are experienced but they haven't really done with this much work before, especially with like data sets and like CSV files and things like that. And but the fact that we're able to accomplish this major part because now we're like 85 to almost 90% done with our product is a really good stepping stone. I also think another milestone would be like reaching initial traction because before when we made the product only a few people knew about the idea, but now I'm like leveraging LinkedIn. I reach out to a lot of people, including investors, merger and acquisition specialties, different firms, and VCs too. Like they're all talking to me. We're in talks. Some people rejected, some people like the idea, some people are on a wait list. So I would say that we're reaching tractions. And besides that too, my LinkedIn follower base has been growing. So I'm thinking of expanding the reach over there too. Because before it was hundreds of views, now it's like thousands of views. So I would think that's a good stepping stone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I had another podcast just today, and I did say this over there as well, that LinkedIn and social media is really becoming like your go-to marketplace where you can tell people about what you're working on. And I think LinkedIn has helped students a lot, especially in this case. So that's great. Now, along with milestones and achievements, it is kind of important that you get a few failures as well, or else some, like most founders, become overconfident in what they're building and often end up failing it. But could you share a memorable failure or setback that you encountered and maybe a valuable lesson that you learned from it that will help you and the viewers that are watching this?
Perfect. Thank you. This actually it reminds me of my old startup about ScaleSketch they mentioned earlier. Uh, we made around 35 different applications, AI and non-AI integrated for different clients. During that phase, we had a lot of struggles because we were just starting off. My co-founder was just starting off. We had very minimal coding experience and marketing experience ourselves, so we didn't really know where to begin. I would say that that was a even bigger struggle than what you might think because, well, a lot of people didn't know us too at the same time. So we didn't know where to look or who to even say this idea to first, right? And the worst part is that the people that we did know that we reached out, they were also pretty unconfident about this. We told them about our idea. They were like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if that's gonna work. Like the worst thing is that you might even tell this to a trusted person, or like let's say your close group of friends, and they're like, oh, this idea is never gonna work. Do you guys really even do anything? How much have you made? And looking back at this, I think that the valuable lesson to take away from this is just to ignore it because when you succeed, you're the one that's going to be like succeeding and they're going to be the ones that look at you. And looking back at it, ScaleSketch was partnered with multiple institutions, including the New York Institute of Technology, where we got our new clients from who graduated the entrepreneuring class, which is pretty good because we didn't even envision that before. So I would say that we have come a long way, and now I'm venturing on my own journey and partnering with different institutions and things like that. And I'm facing the same problems, same criticism everywhere, including close people. But you're just gonna have to learn through that and live through that. Ignore it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the initial stages, it's very common to get criticism. And I think it's best to look at it in a positive way and to learn from why they think that it wouldn't work, and then use that to actually build it into something that would work. So definitely. My last question for you, if you could summarize your startup in one line and any life advice, not necessarily entrepreneurial advice, but any life advice for people watching this podcast.
So, summarizing the startup in one sentence, you said, right?
Yeah.
I would say democratizing education for all, something related to that. And the second thing you asked was advice, right?
Yeah.
To, okay. So,
Life
to
advice.
Okay, life advice in general. Yeah, so this goes back to the previous question that you asked. When you launch a product or any idea whatsoever, don't let the very people that you pitch it to take you down with you, right? Because a lot of times that the same people that criticize you have nothing going on in their own. They're not doing anything. They're not having their own startups. They don't have any of their own mindsets. So they're busy criticizing you. And the best thing is that a lot of the successful people nowadays had some of the biggest critics out there. And a lot of people still think that these people were failures. Meanwhile, they're making millions of dollars. Who's the bigger successor here? The person that made millions of dollars or the other person that's too busy focusing on someone else's life, right? That. And I would also say that when you do experience something like this, especially if you're a young founder as well, trying to profit off some new idea, don't think that this is gonna fail. Like believe in yourself too. A lot of startup people, I guess I've experienced, they'd sometimes tell me that they don't have faith in their own idea. But the fact is, a lot of the successful people that we know nowadays, they didn't believe in their idea either initially. If they still believed that idea up till what we have now, they would not have been a millionaire. They would not have made this much success, this much news coverage. That's because at one point although they stopped believing in themselves, at one point they realized that this is not the way to go. They had that entrepreneur mindset. They knew that they need to change this approach, and they did. And that's how they found success. So I would say that no idea is too bad or too rough or too stupid. Any idea has success if you know where to go with it, if you know where to execute it, and if you know where the people is or are let's say your customer base, because as long as you have some form of appeal, there's somebody that's going to want your product. So that's the best way to go.
Absolutely. I really love how you ended it with that one line that no idea is too bad or too worse. It's just that you need to believe in yourself and believe that the idea you have is actually something that could work. I think that was all for this podcast. Thank you very much, Nafis, and I wish you all the best. Thank you
Thank you.
guys for
Thank you.
watching us all. See you in the next podcast.